members of the General Assembly and I have battled the powerful forces of the pro-gun lobby to pass effective gun safety legislation. We've had occasional victories, but on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, victory has been elusive. That's why today I couldn't be prouder to say that we got it done.
Woo! We saved the country!
I picked up my firearms during the pandemic. I built an AR-15 and own a M&P Shield Plus. And I can say it's one of the best decisions I think I've ever made, actually exercising my Second Amendment right. A right that I feel more people should should exercise, especially during a time when it seemed like the world around us was becoming more and more uncertain. The media perpetuating more and more crime and just all the madness going on outside. I just wanted something that I could have to feel safe and secured at home, with the violence and the noise and the nonsense going on outside. I can't control what goes on outside, but I can control what goes on inside my household, and owning a firearm definitely gives you that peace of mind and that safety, I believe. But unfortunately, there are people who have never even used a firearm that are trying to impede and stifle on this right.
Attempting to exploit a design flaw for persons with disabilities and use it to convert this into a bump stock.
So the sooner you recognize that's not a bump stock, the better off we'll all be.
Attached here, it turns this weapon into an automatic weapon. It becomes a bump stock.
But what he's showing us here is not a bump stock.
I mean, no one has said it is a bump stock. But what we are saying is it operates like a bump stock.
It is not a bump stock. It has never once on this planet ever been used to accelerate the rate of fire.
It's operating as a bump stock. That's the functional result of it.
That can't even function in your wildest fantasies as a bump stock.
It's the brace coupled with the buffer tube. So that operates as a bump stock.
Every semi-automatic AR-15 has a buffer tube and a spring. It's not some trick, it's not some gimmick, it's not a bump stock.
Yeah, I'm sorry, they're both banned.
Now, in good faith, I can't say I don't understand where these legislations are coming from, because although the overall violent crime rate in the United States has been on the decline, the number of mass shootings and deaths by firearms has been increasing. So it is a concerning statistic to look at. Now the arguments here are who and what are doing these shootings. When you make these kind of laws like in Illinois that prohibit and restrict firearms for law-abiding citizens, it has little to no effect on criminals. There's estimated over 250 million firearms in this country. There's probably more firearms than people in America. And it's hard or nearly impossible to tell how much of that is legal or illegal. Making these kind of laws that strips law-abiding citizens who have legally purchased and own their firearms, it doesn't take away from those who illegally have firearms and leaves us vulnerable. It leaves the American people vulnerable. We don't ban cars because people drive them illegally. We don't ban cars because people who drive them illegally accidentally kill other people. That would be a nonsensical approach to that problem. And I believe some of these politicians have a very privileged viewpoint on some of these gun laws and gun bans. I live in Long Beach, California, and I can't tell you the amount of nights I've heard gunfires rattling off into the streets, fights on the corner, people pulling up to my apartment, fighting, gangs tagging the walls, tagging the freaking dumpster by where I park my car. We always have to paint over it to keep the shit clean. Like, that's a different side of the world some people, politicians, aren't used to. And I keep my firearms for protection. No, I'm not going around patrolling the street at night like I'm Batman or some shit. But I keep it tucked away in my house for whenever anything happens. It's always at arm's reach to keep myself safe. And unfortunately, some of these politicians don't live in that kind of world.
Almost all gun homicides are committed with handguns. Okay? 95% of these homicides, in fact.
I never really understood the left's strange fixation on rifles when handguns are the leading contributors to firearm deaths.
This is a Glock 19. It functions in exactly the same way as this rifle. It's a semi-automatic, just like that's a semi-automatic. The rifles not available for purchase don't have a selector switch for 3-round bursts or fully auto. This is a semi-automatic handgun. As quick as I depress the trigger of this Glock 19, a round comes out of the chamber. The functionality between that weapon and this weapon are exactly identical. There is no difference. So you're banning a class of weapons that you don't like the look of, not because of functionality, not because of how fast a round comes out of the weapon, just because you don't like the way that they look, because they function exactly the same.
Attempting to ban guns is more so of treating the symptom than getting to the root cause of the disease. It's a lot easier and simpler for these politicians to treat the symptom than actually to get in the weeds and fix what is systemically wrong with the nation, to lead people to do things that they do, regardless if a firearm was in the mix. And others are seeing through these feeble attempts to suppress the American people. Gun ownership is actually on the rise, and particularly with African American women. Women in general are arming themselves more because they understand guns aren't just going to magically evaporate off the street no matter what the government tries to do.
Michelle Douglas, who founded the gun club, has owned a gun for 16 years.
There's a lot of guns in America, too. Is it reasonable to think that we're gonna...
You're never going to get rid of the guns off the street. That ship has sailed. It's too late. There's too many guns out here on the street, and there's too many people that don't follow the rules. So lift the restrictions on people like me so we can defend our homes.
Her concern is that more gun laws would impact the wrong people. Her.
I'm not the one that the government needs to put restrictions on. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I adhere to the laws. Laws are made to keep an honest person honest. It does nothing for the criminals. They don't care.
We can't get rid of all of them. Criminals are going to have them anyways. So I'm actually very impressed and glad women are arming themselves properly, because again, another unfortunate thing is it's tough out there being a female, especially with the kind of dudes walking around. So if some weirdo walks up on you girls, you might want to fire a couple rounds in his ass and he'll get to stepping. Now, one of those bigger issues that's really leading to the gun violence is mental health. And mental health has been really in the forefront recently over the past couple of years. A lot of these mass shooters, they suffer from some form of mental illness that really leads them to do such a thing. I mean, most of them end up shooting themselves at the end. As tragic and horrifying as it is, they need help. A lot of people in this country need help. The country doesn't do enough to support them, or what they do to support people who are struggling is inefficient, ineffective, and very expensive to the state and federal level. So those are the issues more so that needs to be addressed with the country, more so than banning guns, because that's like an easy out of doing the hard work. That's the real hard work that needs to get done.
Bow, 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 bow.
Him, her, bodies.
Nice feeling, tired be a hero, but live long enough to see yourself become a villain.